And we welcome you into Pioneer Basketball with Coach Devan Carter. The Pioneers this past week go 2-0. Road trip to Wise, Virginia as conference competitors playing in Wise at the place that David Pryor built. And then this past Saturday against the Queens Royals to wrap up the week. Joined by Pioneer coach Devan Carter, a team that you're taking on Wednesday on the road in Wise, Virginia. All this rain that's going on, of course, all this stuff that surrounds everything there, getting up there, and then we come up to this beautiful convocation center, the Taj Mahal, no question about it, I think, of our league. Just a beautiful place to play. On top of that, Coach Klusman, who's playing basically with 7 players right now due to some injuries that she's got, is playing well, as good as anybody on Wednesday, coming off the win against Catawba. You had to go into that place and almost have a little bit of a different mindset when you went in there to take on them because they have been shooting the ball so well.
Yeah, we did. I think the second highest scoring offense in the league. They do a great job of scoring the ball and they're very efficient in what they do. So we had to make sure that, obviously we contested the shots of their best players and made things difficult for them. And then, we tried to throw some different looks at them as well. We tried to really keep them off balance with our defense and what we were trying to throw at them. So, it was almost like a test run for us. Our kids seemed to embrace it and we were able to, really kind of hold them under their normal output offensively, and that was a big key for us going into the game.
10 players get double digits in minutes played is what he's talking about, kind of a 5-in, 5-out mentality. But you forced 31 turnovers in the game and scored off those turnovers. Mia Long finishing with 17. Van Zant for them, though, with 23. They never went away. I think they shot 65% in the second half, despite the fact that they threw it all over the gym. They're a young team. They're going to do that. So I think that's what was more impressive with me, the fact that they were still able to knock down shots.
Yeah, they knocked down shots. And I tell you, they're, one of their guards, Oliver, hit one. And she was almost like, it was like she was near half court. I mean, she's flat out. And she shot it like it was a rhythm shot for her. And they made some deep contested shots and credit to them. They're going to be a really good team. Obviously has had some big moments this year, beating Catawba and doing some different things. And, they're a really tough team. And I think that's a huge compliment to them because they've got kids. Yeah, they're young. They've got some injuries and everything else, but Coach Klusman has got them playing hard and competing. And they're definitely going to be a team to watch for in our league for years to come.
Disturbing trend in the league. You've got Madeline Hardy, FLR, that has gone down. Sunita Webb basically goes down the same day that Sydney Wilson goes down. So here's the 3 teams that we have basically, 2 teams that we've just played who's lost their best players. And they're playing without that, but they're learning too. I think Van Zant's going to be solid. Ross is going to be solid. You mentioned Oliver. She did hit it from the volleyball kill zone. She did knock that shot down. You led by 12 late in the contest, but their will to get back into it. It's almost as if they don't play with fear. Where they just don't understand. And they just continue to chip away. As a matter of fact, had a chance to cut that lead down to 1 the final 2 minutes.
They didn't go away. And, I think, looking at that game, looking at Queens, not to jump ahead, but, seems like we get ahead 12 and that lead dwindles. We've got to do a better job of finishing off runs. We've got to do a better job of once we get that lead to 12, how can we get that lead to 15, to 18, and then to 20. So, I think for us, obviously losing Sid the way that we have, we've had some players step into different roles and different positions and stuff like that, but we've got to do a better job of really finishing off those runs. And I felt like once we got up 12, they called a timeout and kind of regrouped, and that's got to be our time to kind of keep it moving, keep it going. And but credit to them, they fought, they competed. Luckily we made our free throws because if not, outcome probably would have been different.
But Pioneers did. They executed down the stretch. They're able to finish. Again, they continued to force turnovers, 31 in the game. And we're talking live ball turnovers as well. You didn't get a lot of that to where you finished off some plays. However, you're forcing a bunch of turnovers. It wasn't really the mental mistakes for Wise. It was just a lot of the forced turnovers for Tusculum. They get the victory, 69-63, get the season sweep against the Highland Cavaliers. And the first game at Pioneer Arena was all thrilling as Sydney Wilson had to bail out the team, and a come from behind thrilling victory there, basically leading and going wire to wire in Wise, Virginia. Then you get a chance to come home and take on a Queens team that haven't suffered injury, but they've decided to go ahead and dismiss a couple of players, totally revamped kind of their face. Kristen Eanes, though, I think is one of the more phenomenal players just because she's steady, just because of some of the things she does. They're not winning games, but, man, they're competing, and I think that was a big concern going in.
Yeah, I mean, very rarely do you dismiss your top 2 players and get better. I think they got better. Just from a standpoint of they're playing more continuity. Kids are playing hard. You don't see any bad body language on the floor. They look like a team.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes as a coach, I know one of the main reasons we were able to get our program turned around is we had to get some kids out of here. And so I think that, that's what they're doing over there. And they're playing better. They're playing hard. They're playing together. They've had some really competitive games here recently. Obviously, Eanes is a good player. And so, we had our work cut out for us. Kind of similar situation. You go, on your home floor. You build a lead, and then all of a sudden it evaporates. And credit to them for competing and fighting the way that they did, because we had to play the full 40.
Let's take a look at the highlights. Tusculum versus Queens here from Pioneer Arena. First time these teams got together. Again, it was really kind of just a slow slugfest. Kristen Eanes did not play in that first game. She does play here. Kirsten Click getting her 2nd consecutive start in a Pioneer uniform. Hit 4 big 3-pointers in the game. We're going to need all of them. And Queens came out. They knocked down some shots early in the game too.
Yeah, going into the game plan was to, allow Queens to shoot the ball. And, Eanes made the first one, and she was shooting 12% from 3. And I looked at my staff, and I was like, wow, the kids are going to give it to us for this one because, we wanted them to shoot the ball from the outside. I think, you see Elle right there, Gardner, and sagging off there. I think that, they did a really good job of knocking down some contested shots. And so, when that happens, you got to be able to adjust. But I think the big thing for us was getting that outside shooting from Kirsten Click, freshman. Been giving us some really good minutes. She's a kid that started the year down the depth chart, and she just kind of stayed the course. She's gotten better defensively, and she's playing over some upperclassmen right now because she's embraced the defensive end and she's embraced coaching. So, really proud of her and her effort. Because we needed all of those threes in the ball game today.
No question for her. The 3 is going, but it is definitely her defense. Eanes knocking down another big 3. It's a great look. Long getting Hutchinson involved. You did use this kind of 5-in, 5-out. The first time this second unit came in, we're not as successful. Really defensively, because they Queens got back into it. So you bring in the first unit again and reestablish that. But I was really impressed with the way that second unit came in the second time.
Yeah, first time. The thing that group's got to understand is that the only thing we require at Tusculum is that you play hard and lock in the detail, and they're still figuring that out. We've got a lot of talent in that second group, but the details right now is what we've got to continue to work on. And so, I believe wholeheartedly that we can play 5-in, 5-out, and that we can, throw different looks at people and everything else like that. But, they still got to lock into the details. And then the first group, they've got to be a little bit better as well. I think that, as we get into the second half of this conference schedule and this stretch that we've got coming up here the next 2 weeks, the details are going to be vital and critical. So, we're still a work in progress. I mean, I think that, the big thing with our girls is we got to stay the course of what we're doing, and we've got to embrace these little things because that's going to be the separator and the divider here going down the stretch. 7-point
lead at halftime. Second half, what we saw, Queens kind of get back into it, cut it to 3 at the end of 3. And I think the biggest reason for that is what they did against Mia Long. They did not allow her to drive. You're right. The blueprint is out there. Anderson has kind of proven that.
Yeah.
She's got to figure out ways probably to score. She's shooting the 3. She's making the 3. But she did not get the points in the paint she typically does against them.
Right, and I tell you what, I think that's a credit to Mia, though, too, because she didn't force anything. And I thought she forced one shot all night, and we had a quick 2-second conversation about it, and then the rest of the night I felt like she was just really solid, leading our ball club and doing what, Mia does. I joke with her all the time, about, maturity, and she's matured a lot. I give her credit. Like, she's matured a lot, and it's been essential for us, being able to go on the road and get these tough wins, and then, you're in a game where we don't particularly play well against Queens, and yet we find a way. And you look at her going down the stretch, knocking down free throws for us, coming down the stretch, and stuff like that is huge. And she's playing like a senior point guard, so really proud of her for that.
Big fourth quarter for the Pioneers to propel them because they knocked down some free throws, and also because they didn't have the possessions. That's the thing that surprises me. Out-rebounded, didn't have the possessions. I thought Queens really did a nice job slowing the game down. I mean, they get the ball and they kind of settle in. They protected the basketball. They did have 20 turnovers, but weren't live ball turnovers where you were getting into transition.
Yeah, did a really good job of slowing the game down. I mean, you know, you look at our first game, we got in the 70s, and then this game we get in the 50s. You know, as a coach, that was kind of disappointing for us. I felt like we got great looks and you know, really just have to go and knock them down. And you know, credit to them for, you know, throwing different looks at us as well. You know, we knew they were going to throw a lot of looks defensively at us. And to be honest, we really didn't scout them as much offensively. I think that, you know, tendencies, you know, carry us this part of the year, so it's not anything that you haven't seen before. So to hold that club to 49 points obviously is impressive, but, you know, I think that, you know, from an offensive standpoint, we got some great looks. Just got to step in and knock those down. And then you look at, you know, we were able to force 20 turnovers, but we weren't able to really score off those turnovers. And so those are areas that we still got to improve on, because we know the press is what we do, and what's going to carry us going down the stretch, and we got to make the most of those opportunities when we get them.
Pioneers get the victory against the Queens Royals. They stay in that tie for third in the South Atlantic Conference. Anderson, Catawba, Tusculum, Carson Newman. Those are the top four teams right now in the league. So a big week as we get one of those teams ranked ahead of us. We'll talk about that when we return with more Pioneer basketball with Devan Carter after this.
Family.
Food's here!
What's it mean to you?
We got lunch.
To us, it means the people you care about, look out for, and yeah, love. Even if you'd never let them hear you say it.
Hey, you're eating hummus?
What's wrong with hummus?
Here at Ingalls, we have everything you need to gather around the table and give each other a hard time. Because that's what families do. Ingalls. All the ingredients for family.
Welcome you back into Pioneer basketball with Coach Devan Carter. Brian Staten with you this week as the Pioneers will be at home for one and then on the road for another. And the one is the team that's lost 14 straight. The Pioneers hit 18 three-pointers the first time these teams got together. It was a thing of beauty, really, to watch. We shot the ball so well. Obviously, you can't rely on that every single game. You know, I'm not saying that Mars Hill is playing better, but I think their mentality, new coach, new philosophy, it's going to catch up with somebody. You really have to concentrate and come in. Whether you hit 8 three-pointers, whether you hit 1 three-pointer, you still are really going to have to pay attention to details this week.
Yeah, because, you know, the thing is that they've had some really close games here recently, too. You know, you look at, I think their game at Wise, it was a 5 or 7 point game. You know, we've got to lock in to Mars Hill. They're going to throw different looks at us as well. You know, they have a really good player, Deja Marshall. And then the Boggs kid is playing really well also. I mean, she's really doing a great job scoring the basketball. So we're going to have to lock in, you know, to the details of Mars Hill and not, you know, look too much, you know, past them, because you got Anderson going on the road to Anderson. But, you know, we're going to have to lock in on Mars Hill. We got to take care of business, you know, with our first test on Wednesday before we get to Saturday. And if you don't, Mars Hill has shown the ability to scare you and you know, even lead in the final minutes of some games. You know, they've dropped some games where they've been in the lead in the fourth quarter. So, you know, we've got to make sure that we come in, lock in on those two kids, Marshall and Boggs, and rebound the basketball and try to get some extra possessions out of the press.
Wingate was another one of those teams where they were in it, especially very late in that contest. All right, so that's Wednesday, and that's at home at Pioneer Arena for the second of the 2 games this year. Then Anderson, we don't want to spend a whole lot of time because Wednesday is the trap game. You look ahead to Alexi Molenauer and company, you know, the elite in our league here over the last couple of seasons. You're going to get yourself beat Wednesday. But the challenge Saturday is go down there and play well, which is just something, for some reason, whatever it is, no matter the personnel, we just don't play well.
Yeah, it's a tough place to play. You know, their fans are there right up on you. Their fans are great. They talk to you, they yell at you. You know, it's a place that we haven't played, too well at. And as a coach, I think you try to get that out of the back of your mind and just, go down there and compete. It's a place that hadn't been good to us, but all it takes is one game to change your fortune. So, obviously, you know what you're getting in Anderson. Like, you know what you're going to get with them. You're going to get, the best player in the league on one side, and then you're going to get a phenomenal leader in Baggett. And then you're going to get a team that's just disciplined in everything. They're not flashy. They're not going to throw anything crazy at you. They're just going to be solid. And, I tell our coaches all the time, I talk to other coaches around the league, like, solid carries and solid wins. And that's what they are. They're the most solid team in the league. And we've got to find a way, to go on the road and get one. We got to be disciplined. We got to make shots, obviously. We've got to get some extra possessions, and it's a situation where we've done it in the past. We've exchanged games here and there, wins here and there, but to be able to go down there and get a win at Anderson, it's going to take a great effort from our team. Can be done, no doubt. But we're going to have to go and play and lock in the detail.
All right, Pioneer team that ranks third right now, tied for third in the South Atlantic Conference. With Carson Newman, obviously a huge week. Wednesday against Mars Hill at home. Listen or watch on the Pioneer Sports Network. Visit the Pioneer webpage and go to the schedule. You can click on Listen Live, or you can also do the Watch Now as well. Also, if you're on the road or something, just want to listen in, and we'll have that for you as well through the website. On Saturday, through the Anderson website, the Anderson Athletic website, you can watch the game there. Can listen through the Tusculum webpage as well. Just visit the schedule page and do the Listen Now and Listen Live, and you'll be able to listen to us through the Pioneer Sports Network. So a big week for Tusculum, no question about that. For all those behind the scenes here in the Pioneer Sports Network, he's Pioneer coach Devan Carter. For Zach Hartle, I'm Brian Staten. And until next week, go Pioneers.